Hello, it's Sonia here, The Pretty Stitch. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time joining me, I'm so happy to have you here. So today is Tuesday, so that means it's Tunisian Tuesday, and we are going to be doing a Tunisian project. So to do this project, I'm using my eye hook or 5.5mm hook, and as you can see, I am using a regular crochet hook to make this project. A Tunisian hook is not needed, and you might even be able to use one of those hooks that have like the ergonomic handle, like the thicker handle. I mean, the stitches might be a little crowded on there, but I think you might be able to do it. And I am going to be using some worsted weight number 4 yarn. I don't know the brand of this yarn. I found this in my stash, but it's definitely a worsted weight acrylic yarn, and I'm going to be using some other colors. So I have this black, and I know this is Paint Box Yarns. And you can see, oh, the dog hair in there. That's fantastic. And here it's Simply Aran. So I know this is the same yarn. I just lost the label of that one. But I'm going to be using Paint Box Yarns as well for this project. And we're going to be making a bag. And you could use it as a beach bag. You could use it just as a bag for anything. I thought it would be a nice, this yarn would be nice for that. And Tunisian crochet can be like a sturdier stitch, so I find it to be nice for things that kind of that will take a little bit of a wear and tear, like a bag, you know, might be used quite often, or kitchen items, blankets, things like that. So we are going to be starting on the bottom of the bag, so working on the bottom, and we are going to be chaining 24. Okay, so I have my 24 chains here, and so now we're going to work row 1, and in the back bump of our chain we're going to turn it over, and we're going to insert our hook into that first stitch and pull up a loop. So if you've never done Tunisian crochet before, I do have an entire playlist that goes over the basics and goes over basic stitches, techniques with Tunisian crochet. So as you can see, I'm just continuing to pull up loops in the back loop, and with Tunisian crochet each row is worked in 2 parts. So your first part of your row, you're putting your stitches on your hook like we're doing right now, and then the second part of your row you're taking your stitches off, and that all counts as 1 row. Okay, so I have 24 loops on my hook. So like I said, you could probably use a crochet hook with a thicker handle. It would just be like bunched up like that. And I lost a loop. Let's get that back on. Alright, so let's take these loops off. So to complete row 1, we're going to yarn over, pull through 1 stitch, and yarn over, pull through 2 for the rest of the row. And row 1 here is our setup row, and row 2 will be the start of our repeat for the bottom part of our bag. Okay, so here is row 1 complete. So we're going to begin row 2. That's going to be the start of the repeat. So now we're going to get ready for row 2, and this project is going to be made in pieces, and then we are going to stitch them together, which Tunisian crochet I think lends really well to that kind of construction. So let's get started with row 2. So we are going to be working Tunisian knit stitch. So to work the knit stitch, if you're looking at the bars here, these vertical bars, if you take that bar, just kind of push it to the side, you will see that it actually looks like a chain, so like the top of a regular crochet stitch. So we're going to insert our hook right in the center of that chain, of that V. So here's one leg of the V, here's the other leg of the V. So right in the center of that. And I do have a tutorial that goes over this stitch further if you're having trouble, and again, that will be in the description box if you need a link for that. So we're just going to continue to pull up loops working Tunisian knit all the way across. And if you're also having trouble, you can always stick a rubber band on the end of your hook. So if you're afraid your loops are going to fall off, you can just pop a rubber band on there. I mean, if you do have a Tunisian hook, then of course by all means use that, but I don't really enjoy working with Tunisian hooks that are long and straight. They tend to bother my hands. I do prefer the ones with a cord, but sometimes ones with the cord, like you have this long cord and it's just kind of getting in the way. So if you don't really need it, then I prefer to not use it. But you know, sometimes you do have to use an actual Tunisian hook. So now we are at the end of our second row. So it looks like a chain here. We're just going to insert our hook in the center of that chain to complete the row, or the first part of row 2. And now we have our forward pass, row 2 complete. So let's do our return pass, taking the stitches off. So yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so there is row 2 complete. So we are going to be repeating row 2, so rows 3, and I think it's going to be 56. We're just repeating row 2. So the knit looking stitch, it's going to look like stockinette stitch in knitting, but it'll be slightly different. It's actually a little bit like stockinette stitch with a regular, if you're doing regular knitting, tends to be I think a little bit more flexible and stretchy, where with Tunisian knit stitch it's kind of very structured, which for this project is really good because you know, want your bag to be a little bit structured, especially if you're putting things in it. You don't want it to stretch too much, so that's why I picked this stitch. So again, we're just repeating row 2, and as you go farther along, the knit stitch will really start to look more pronounced as you go along. So I am going to be repeating my row 2 for 56 rows, possibly more, but I think 56 is going to be the magic number. I've already started working on my chart and directions, so I'll let you know. All right, I'll meet you back. Okay, so here we are. I did work 56 rows. So now we're going to bind these stitches off. So we're going to do it in Tunisian knit. So you're going to insert your hook in that stitch like you're working a knit stitch, and then just work the bind off. And you want to make sure when you're binding off to keep your stitches nice and relaxed. And as you can see, she is curling up a storm, but because it's going to be a bag, I think it will be just fine. We will take that curling and shape it into submission. Tunisian often curls, well, this resembles stockinette stitch, so even knit stockinette tends to curl as well, so that's pretty common. Okay, so then when you're done your bind off, we're going to cut our yarn. So I got my scissors right here. And so this is going to be the bottom of the bag. So this will be the inside here. And now we're going to start working on other sections of the bag. Okay, so now we're going to be starting on the sides of the bag, on the wider sides. And to do that, we're going to be doing, it's kind of like an entrelac technique. I call it a strip technique because you're basically working in strips. So what you're going to do to work on the first strip is we're going to chain 8. So we have our 8 chains, and then in that second chain from our hook, working in the back bump, we're going to pull up our loops. So this is row 1. So there we go. And now we just work these off like we normally would. So yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2 for the rest of the row. And now we're going to get ready for row 2. So row 2 is just going to be like what we did for the bottom of the bag. We're going to work that knit stitch, and we are going to be working, so this is our main color that I'm using. So you're going to be using 2 different colors. I thought I was going to be using 3 different colors, but I'm not. I'm just going to use 2. And so this is my main color, and we're going to work 42 rows of our main color with our first strip here. So there we go, there's that knit stitch. So you're going to continue, as I said before, you're going to work 42 rows, but you don't want to cut your yarn. So I'm going to go do that and I will meet you back. Okay, so I'm about ready to work my return pass for row 42. And when I am done with this row, I want to finish it off with my other color. So I have 2 loops on my hook. I'm going to grab, it's like a charcoal gray here that I'm using, and I'm just going to finish that off just like that. And now we are ready for row 43. So we're going to work 7 rows with, this would be, call it color B, I guess. And still working that knit stitch. And then when I am at the end of my 7th row, which will be row 49, then I'm going to switch back to my main color. So I will want to cut this main color because I don't think a carry is going to look very nice, because we're creating a block here. So there will be some ends to weave in with this project using this technique, but you know, it shouldn't be too bad, and it'll still look very nice. Okay, so I have worked my 7 rows, so this is the end of row 49. I've got my main color back, and we're just going to attach that. So we are going to work 7 more rows, and then we're going to be done our first strip. So we're going to have a total of 56 rows for the first part of our bag here. So I'm going to work my 7 rows, and then at the end of my row 56, you're going to work the bind off row like we did for the bottom of the bag, still working in that knit stitch. So I'm going to go do that, and then we'll get ready. We're going to actually build on this strip here. So I will meet you back. Okay, so we finished our strip here, so you can see that. So now we're going to build off of this strip. So you want to go to the bottom of it and to the side, so you can see it looks like the ends of crochet regular, or it looks like the tops of regular crochet stitches. We're going to insert our hook at that bottom stitch. I'm going to get my main color here, and we're going to attach it on the end, and we're going to chain 8. So we have our 8 chains. So in our back bump of our chain, the second bump from our hook, we're just going to pull up loops like we normally do. So don't forget that last chain there. And now we need to anchor this onto the first strip. So we're going to go right back in that stitch where we attached our yarn, right there, insert our hook and pull up a loop. So now we're going to have an extra loop on our hook. We're going to have 9 instead of 8. And now we need to work these off. So normally you would pull through 1 and then pull through 2 for the rest of the row, but because we're attaching on the side, we're going to pull through 2 right from the start. And just keep pulling through. So now we're ready to work row 2. Row 2, we're going to do knit stitch. So we're going to insert our hook and pull up loops in Tunisian knit. And now we need to anchor it on the side of our strip. So we just go into that next stitch there, insert our hook, pull up a loop, and now we need to work these off, yarn over, pull through 2 all the way across. So there we go. Okay, so we are going to repeat row 2. So rows 3 through 35, you're going to just repeat row 2, working up our strip, and then at the end of row 35, we're going to switch to our second color there. Okay, so here is my second strip that I finished. So what I did was I worked 35 rows with my main color. Then I did 7 rows of my second color, 7 rows of the main color, and then I finished up my last 7 rows with my other color here. So that is our second strip there. So now we're going to work on the third strip. So for our third strip, we are going to do the same thing as we did for the second. We're going to attach on the bottom our yarn, and we're going to chain 8. And then we're going to work our third strip just like we did the second one. So there's my 8 chains, second chain from my hook, pull up that loop, and we're just going to keep going, pulling up the loops. Now this technique, you can definitely, I've used it with simple stitch. I actually made a ginormous blanket using this, as I call it, a strip technique, using simple stitch, and then I used purl stitch for the border of my blanket, and I used a small hook, just a straight hook like this for it. I will post a picture of it so you can see what I mean, and I made a patchwork blanket out of this stitch. So I pulled up my loops, and now we got to go back in there. And I'm currently working on 2 other blankets using this technique. It's nice. I think I call it the Tunisian strip technique, but I guess it's kind of like an entrelac, but I like it because, you know, you can use a regular crochet hook, and it's, you know, made in pieces, and I just think it looks cool. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to continue working our knit stitch for 28 stitches, 28 rows, not stitches. So we're going to work 28 rows, and then we're going to change to our other color, work 7 rows, and then we'll change back to our main color, 7 rows. So it's going to create like a little checkerboard up top. So it's pretty easy to determine where you need to switch to your other colors. So obviously along here you're going to have your main color, then this will be your secondary color, and then you'll finish up again with your main color. So I am going to go do that, and I will meet you back. Okay, so here we go. I have worked strips 3 and 4. So 3, you can see. So strip 4, you will work 21 rows. Then you're going to work 7 with your second color. And then you'll work 7 more with your main color. And then 7 again with your second color. And then the rest, you'll just finish up with the main color. So you can kind of see, I'm sorry it's rolling here, but we're just having the 2 rows of the checks for this pattern here. So row 5, or strip 5 here, you're going to work 14 rows of your main color. Then you'll work your 7 rows of the secondary color, and then you'll work your main color next to this secondary color. Then you'll work your second color here. Then you'll work your main color. And the rest of your rows are going to be main color. So if you just remember, it's just 2, it's going to be diagonal of the secondary color. So I'm going to go work strip 5 and I will meet you back. Okay, so here we go. I have actually finished my first panel here. So here is strip 5, and we worked 14 rows, and then we switched to our second color, and then we worked 7 rows of the second color, 7 rows of our main color, 7 rows of our second color, and then we just continued working with our main color. So here is strip 6, where we worked 7 rows of our main color, then we switched to our second color, 7 more rows of our main color, then we switched to our second color, and then the rest of our rows we worked with our main color. And then with our last strip, so here is strip 7 here on the end, we actually started out with our second color with 7 rows, and then 7 rows of our main color, 7 rows of the second color, and then we finish out this strip. So I've already started, we're going to work another panel like this one, but we're going to do it opposite. So you're still working your 7 strips. So here we go. I've already started this one. So what you're going to do is you're going to work the same way of attaching, but you're going to have the strips be opposite. So I've started with my main color I started with strip 1 with my second color like here. So we're literally going to make the, we're going to look at our panels and work this way as far as the color pattern goes, but you're still attaching on the ends, if that makes sense. So after I am done here, I'm going to continue working my rows until I have 56 stitches, 56 rows. And then my next color for strip 2 is going to be the main color. So if you look here, so that would be main color. Then I'm going to work the second color, main color, second color, and then go up. So when you get to your 7th strip, you're going to work all the way up until stitch 40, so stitch 42, so then 43 through 49, and then 50 through 56, then you'll end like that. So don't overthink it, just use your first panel as a guide for the second panel. And the reason why, I mean, you could work this panel, the second panel, just like this one, but when we attach it on the sides, I want the patterns to kind of be the same. So, but you can, you know, like I said, you could definitely have it, the second panel, exactly the same as this one if you wanted to. So I'm going to go ahead and work my 7 strips here, and I will meet you back. Okay, so here is my other panel of my bag here. So you can see we started off with that second color, and there it is. But now we're going to work on the sides of the bag, and I'm a little concerned because I'm playing yarn chicken, but you know what, we're just going to go with it here and hope that it's going to be okay. Alright, so we're going to start off, and both of the sides will be the same. We're going to start off with our second color, and we're going to make 3 strips instead of 7. So we're going to chain 8 to start off with. And then in our second chain from our hook, we're going to pull up our loops just like we've been doing. So we're going to work 7 rows. We're still doing the knit stitch with our second color, and then we're going to switch to our main color. And we're just going to do the same thing. So I'm going to show you on with pictures and things like that on the video here so that you can see it. And of course we need to make 2 of these, and then we're going to attach all of our panels onto our bag, and hopefully we will have enough to make the handles, because that's what I'm concerned about here. But you know, we're going to make it work somehow. So I'm going to keep going, and I will meet you back after I've got my smaller panels done. Okay, so here we go. Here are the smaller sections of our bag. So you can see I made 3 strips. Again, still chaining 8. So 8 across, and I started off with the second color and then worked 7 rows, and then 7 rows of main color, 7 rows of the second color for that first strip, and then you can see the second and third strip, and I just have, so for each strip, 2 blocks of the second color, and then the top of it here, and I made them exactly the same. So started off with the second color and did it the same. So after you make these, then you need to make handles. So here I go, here are my handles. So for my handles, I chained 8, and then I worked in knit stitch 72 rows. And obviously you need 2 of them. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have to start assembling this bag, but before we do that, I want to add some trim to the handles. So here is my other color here, and what I'm going to do is attach on the end, so it's really easy to see the ends of the rows here. So I'm going to attach the yarn, and I'm just going to work a row of single crochet on both sides. So chaining 1, single crocheting right back in that first stitch, and I'm just going to single crochet across. And then I'm going to do that on the other side as well, working a row of single crochet, and then I want to do that for this one as well. So I'm going to go do that, and I will meet you back, and then we'll get ready. So here is some parts for our bag. She keeps rolling. So I'm hoping once we piece it together it won't roll anymore. It'll kind of work itself into submission. If it's still rolling, what I'll probably do is give it a little bit of a heat block. So just because this is acrylic yarn, so you can do that. If you make it out of cotton, then you could wet block it and then just kind of shape it. But because this is 100% acrylic, I might do a little heat block where I spritz it with some water and then just kind of steam it with an iron. I don't want to put too much heat on it because it could melt, but that'll just help to relax it a little bit and help it to not curl. But we'll see what we need to do. So I'm going to go and work on these straps, and then I will meet you back. Okay, so I finished my straps. So what you're going to want to do is leave a tail to sew for each end here, because we're going to attach these straps to our bag, and I'm not sure if I'm going to have enough of this trim color. So I have another color on hand, so we'll see. I'm going to give it a good try with this charcoal color, but the final bag might actually have a different trim color. Just wanted to put that out there. All right, so let's start assembling our bag here. So what we're going to do first is we're going to get the bottom of our bag. So this was our bottom, the part that we started with here. So this is going to be the inside here. And why don't we start with one of our shorter, or our smaller panels here. So I'm going to have it attached, so it's one that goes on the side here. So what we're going to do is we're going to attach our trim color here, because we're actually going to single crochet these together. That's what I like about Tunisian crochet, because it does leave that nice edge so that you can do that. So I'm going to attach my yarn onto the bottom first. Get that ready. It's a little challenging because we're curling, but you know. And I'm going to chain 1 to get my yarn ready for stitching. So we've got our chain 1. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in that first stitch there of our bottom, and then we're going to go into that first stitch of the smaller panel here, and we're working a single crochet. And we're just going to single crochet across, attaching both parts of our bag here. And some of these stitches, I finished them a little tightly. And then we're just going to stitch all the way across to the end. And you're not going to want to cut your yarn, because then we're going to get a big part of the bag and get ready to do this. So I'm going to stitch across here and then I'll meet you back. Okay, so I stitched across the bottom here. So some of these are some ends that pull on that. We'll clean up some of that. All right, so now we need to attach the other part of our bag. So I'm grabbing one of our big panels here, and you can decide which part you want on the bottom, which you want on the top. So I'm going to pick this one here, and I'm just going to again insert my hook into that next stitch on the bottom, and at the bottom here, gotta find it, get that tail out of the way, and we're just working a single crochet. And I'm certainly hoping that I will have enough of this color yarn, because I do really like it. Kind of makes it cohesive. And we're just going to continue around stitching. So I'm going to stitch all the way across, attaching this one. Then I'm going to get my other panel to go on this side here, so this short side here, and then get the other big panel and stitch all the way across, and then I'll be ready to cut my yarn. So I'm going to keep plowing through with this charcoal yarn, hoping that it'll be enough yarn. So I will meet you back. So I just wanted to show you, I'm still stitching around. So here is, but I did work stitches here too to attach. So just so you know, as I was stitching across. But now I have reached the end here of this side, and I am going to attach the other panel here down here, and then I'll attach the other one and work over here, and then we will start assembling the sides. And so yeah, we've got quite a bit of stitching left to do, but easy stuff here. So I will meet you back. Okay, so I finished stitching all around the the edging here. So now we need to attach these sides so that it is actually a bag. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my yarn, still holding out hope that I have enough yarn for this trim, and I just dropped it. So I'm going to start at the bottom here, these corners, and I'm going to stitch all the way up to the top here. And I'm going to do that for all the sides, so all four, and I will meet you back. So I'm going to try to line it up so that it's, see how we have the blocks there, so it looks nice and neat and tidy. So I'm going to go do that. And okay, so I finished up stitching my sides, so you can see how I stitched up here and then on this side here. And I did not cut my yarn when I stitched up the last side, because now we are going to single crochet all the way around the top, and then we will attach our handles. So I just have my yarn here at the top, hoping that I have enough of this charcoal yarn, and I'm just going to work on the ends of the rows here, and I'm just going to single crochet on the top all the way around, and then when I get to the end I will cut my yarn. So I'm going to go do that, cross all my fingers and toes that I will have enough yarn here to do that, and I will meet you back. Okay, so here is my finished bag. So what I ended up doing on the top here is I did 2 rounds of single crochet, because I did one and I just didn't think it was enough, so I did a second one and I like it a lot better. So then I sewed on the handles here, So I just sewed them back there and did the same on the other side here. I still have some ends to weave in, but I think it turned out really cute. So here is the side panels here, and I think I'll be using this. I think it'll make a really nice, maybe like a beach bag. You could put a towel, some sunblock, sunglasses, and you're all set, or I might use it as a project bag. But I do have a bunch of ends to weave in, so I have already started doing that, but that's the only downside with this project. There are quite a few ends, but I mean, if you are fully committed to making this project, I don't always like to weave in ends right away, because sometimes when I'm working on something, I'm like, I don't know if this is going to work out, so I like to leave my ends out so that if I need to take it apart, I can easily, because it's really difficult once you've woven in the ends to take apart a project. But if you're like 100% sold on doing this, then I do recommend just weaving in as you go, so then it will be a lot quicker to finish. And I think I might just lightly steam it. I mean, it's curling a little, but adding that extra row of single crochet really did help with that. But I hope you enjoyed this project, and if you did, please like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.